For decades, a pseudo-historical theory has circulated claiming that the Olmec civilization, one of the earliest and most influential cultures of Mesoamerica, was actually founded by black Africans who crossed the Atlantic millennia before Columbus. This theory, often popularized by writers like Ivan van Sertima, is entirely based on a single superficial interpretation of their most famous artwork. Proponents of this myth base their conclusions on superficial interpretations of the famous Olmec heads, solely based on their broad noses and thick lips. Curly Tlapayawa and Ruben A. Arellano, cited in Retraction Watch. This is the claim, that the facial features, the broad noses and thick lips on the 17 discovered colossal heads, prove a transatlantic African presence. But this argument ignores every other piece of evidence we have. The Olmec civilization, which flourished from about 1500 BCE, developed a unique art style, sophisticated calendar, and writing system that is wholly indigenous to the Gulf Coast of Mexico. The Olmec had no known contact with any Old World civilization. Their art, architecture, staple crops, maize, and religious beliefs are deeply rooted in the Mesoamerican tradition. Furthermore, archaeologists note that the facial features used to push the African narrative are naturally present in many of the indigenous peoples of Mexico today. If archaeology wasn't enough, we now have the most definitive evidence available: genetics. This is where the myth completely collapses. Modern DNA and ancient DNA studies have provided an undeniable answer to the origin of the Olmec people. Skeletal remains from Olmec-era sites have been studied, and the genetic markers show a clear line of descent. These remains belong to mitochondrial haplogroup A, a genetic signature that is characteristic of the indigenous populations of the Americas. This directly links the Olmec people to the waves of migration that crossed the Bering Strait from Asia thousands of years ago. There is zero genetic evidence to support a sub-Saharan African migration route for the Olmec founders. And what about those heads? Beyond the fact that the features are indigenous, the carving style itself may have been functionally influenced. These monuments were carved from massive basalt boulders. Scholars suggest the shape and style were also constrained by the material or were stylized representations of spiritual beliefs, such as the were-jaguar motif. The most damning evidence against this theory isn't just a lack of support. It's a formal academic rejection. The theory is repeatedly described as a long discredited notion. And in 2020, a peer-reviewed academic journal was forced to retract a paper that advocated for teaching the Black Olmec theory in schools. Following intense criticism from scholars and readers, the journal's editor-in-chief issued a rare and powerful retraction notice. The editor-in-chief has retracted this article. After post-publication peer review, it was found that the theory that Olmecs were black Africans is not substantiated according to current Mesoamerican archaeology and genetic evidence. Official retraction notice, the Urban Review. The conclusion is clear. This is not a controversial theory. It is a pseudo-historical myth that has no place in legitimate academic discussion. This debunking matters because the Black Olmec myth hijacks history. It assigns credit for one of the greatest independent cultural achievements of the ancient world away from the indigenous Americans who actually built it. The Olmec civilization stands as a monument to the incredible ingenuity and independent innovation of the New World's first cultures. Their story is remarkable enough on its own.
And this is a man, and his features are Totonac. They are not Negroid, but they paint them with chapapote, so it is a warrior who is black. The man, and his features are Totonac. They are not Negroid, but they paint them with chapapote, so it is a warrior who is black.
Saying that the Olmec people themselves were black?
No. No.
Olmec people themselves were black? No.
No.